Hello there, my name is TT, and today I'll be talking to you about my case study memo about lithium mining at Thacker Pass and the environment trade-offs and connected to clean and production. Right, so basically the main decision being made is whether lithium mining at Thacker Pass is obviously something that people want to go through with. Lithium is a critical mineral used in electrical vehicle batteries, renewable energy systems like storage units and stuff like that, because countries are trying to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and move away from fossil fuels. But the demand for lithium has highly increased rapidly throughout all these countries. This trade-off obviously then leads us to a scenario where lithium mining helps support clean energy and all the climate goals are being met with that change being created. But it can also create environmental damage as well. Obviously, mine operation can disturb ecosystem using large amounts of groundwater and affect nearby communities, especially with indigenous lands around the world where we're gonna be causing population pollution as well. We're gonna start reducing the population, sorry, by causing pollution. So the main question is now how can decision makers sorry sorry how can decision makers meet energy and resources and find the needs protecting the environment and human well-being. The most important part about the Earth system is the impact. In this case, the effect on groundwater and desert ecosystems. Mining requires large amounts of water, and Nevada is already a dry region with limited water resources, right? If groundwater level decreased too much, it could harm streams, vegetation, wildlife, and habitats. This also affects people who depend on water for agriculture and local communities. So obviously now you've got your farmers and people like that involved, people that obviously florists and stuff like that. So environmental people that obviously rely on ecosystem and the earth to provide a living for themselves. So obviously now we're putting people out of jobs. This connects to the earth system, thinking of because all systems are connected, right? So changes in water system can affect ecosystem, climate conditions, and human population, right? So all these things happening here, they're all connected, even with us as humans, right? So we have chapter 3 that explains that Earth's habitability depends on balancing human activity, right, with the protection of natural systems that support life. So like I have got like a little example, like we see how the bees obviously they work tremendously hard for us as humans, and they produce pollen for all these plants and flowers out there, because again they play a part, and then that obviously leads to that where we also will need that at some point, right? In my memo, I evaluated two main options, right? The first option is to fully approve and accelerate that mining project. Sorry about that. Accelerate the mining project. The benefit of this option is it would increase lithium production quickly, strengthen domestic energy supplies, and create jobs, right? So obviously, if you're going to start something this tremendously huge, right, a lot of people are going to be in need of jobs. So obviously, this creates job opportunities for a lot of people in the environment, and obviously, getting more people working is phenomenal work for the country. However, the downside to that will lead to great environmental damage, right? So now, obviously, building stuff like this means what? Pollution, right? Pollution obviously then affecting the ecosystem in a way, and you're gonna start seeing maybe habitat destruction. So where obviously all these animals live, their habitat where they live is getting destroyed to make way for all the space, right? We're gonna see groundwater depletion, and we're gonna see a lot more pollution, right? Like I said. So the second option for me was to allow limited mining with stricter environment regulations and long-term monitoring. So now we're keeping a steady eye on whatever we produce. And this option allows access to lithium resources but includes protection for water systems, ecosystems, and local communities. So now we're trying our best to keep it nice and clean. Obviously, disadvantages means slower production, because obviously rules are more strict and it gets a little more tedious with how much you can produce. Obviously, in my opinion, I prefer the second option massively. I believe obviously slow steady wins you the race in this instance. In conclusion, the Thacker Pass case shows how difficult it can be to balance resource development and environmental protection, as well as human well-being. My recommendation supports reasonable resource management that helps meet clean energy goals whilst also protecting the earth, systems, and local communities. Thank you so much for listening.